Welcome back. We're continuing our discussion of the 2008 presidential election and what American voters are looking for in terms of foreign policy. Well, I'm joined by David Ramadan, a participant here. He's the Vice Chair for Outreach to Arab and Muslim Americans for the Republican Party of Virginia. Also joining us is Luis Alvarado, the McCain Campaign Chair for Los Angeles County. He's also a delegate from California. And gentlemen, I welcome you to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Luis, if I could start with you, please. The Latino community in the U.S. is a growing force now. It's both economically and politically. Now, to what extent is it able to have a political impact equivalent to its economic strength in the American community?
Well, I think that becomes a byproduct of the participation that Latinos have in the political process, which I guess by me being here today is just a further example of how we are starting to become integrated, not just into the political process, but the American culture in the whole.
And David, you're responsible for outreach, and I wonder from what you know and your perspective, in what way has the Arab American Republican voter base changed? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? What are the challenges you face?
It's increasing. There's been quite a bit of interest in the current elections by young generations. We're trying certainly to gain that young generation to the Republican creed, and there's a huge initiative in the state of Virginia of welcoming two new Republicans into the party.
Okay, I'll ask you more about that, but let's get David on the line from Paris. David, what would you like to ask?
Well, it's just down the line. Surely back to John McCain and the Republican Party. Should McCain not have screened his presidential candidate better? Because that would be the first thing that a Republican would attack if it were Biden's possible granddaughter to come up on the card. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's put that to you first, David, the screening of the vice presidential candidate.
I think they did a wonderful job by picking Governor Palin to the campaign. Let's remember that America votes for president, not for vice president. The role of the vice president is a supporting role to fill in the gaps and support the president in those issues that he might be slightly weak on. But let's remember, this is a McCain versus Obama campaign, and it's not a vice presidential campaign.
Although, Luis, is there anyone that could have represented the Latino community's interest in a better way if it came to picking someone else as a vice presidential candidate?
Well, I think it's McCain's policies that we're more interested in as opposed to the actual person that's being selected for vice president. But just to echo what he just said is it was a fantastic vetting process that she went through, and it was more of selecting someone who would be identifiable to McCain's ideas and policies. And as a reformer, she certainly is the most qualified vice president pick he could have found.
Which are the foreign policy issues that the Latino community is most watching in this election?
Well, foreign policy is, I would imagine the war in the Middle East is it's the most prevalent matter at this time. For
many
the
Latino families have children and sort of their sons in fighting as well, sons and daughters, don't they?
Absolutely, there is a heavy presence of Latino contributions to the armed forces here in the United States, and our families, of course, are always watching what the process is in regards to how it's going to affect their families.
Now, David, if I could, we had a chat with a delegate at the Democratic National Convention in Denver, Colorado, and David Napti, one of the delegates there to the DNC, talked on the issue of Middle East policy. I want you to listen to what he has to say and then respond, please. So this is what David Napti had to say from the DNC.
So I'm just wondering how on earth someone could think that pursuing roughly the same policies for another 4 years could have any positive consequences, any positive impact in the region, versus pursuing a policy like Barack Obama is doing that takes a much more diplomatic and much more respectful approach to the people in the region.
So what's happened is, according to a lot of people, and what David is saying there is that it hasn't been very good for the Middle East. And a lot of people argue that the Bush administration's caused more divisions, especially with Arabs and especially Muslims. And I wonder how this is being reflected in the political alignment of the Arab American voters.
The Arab American voters need to realize that McCain is not Bush. This is the image that the Democrats are trying to paint McCain with by saying this is another 4 years of the Bush policies. It certainly is not. McCain is an independent man. It's a new, revitalized party, not just McCain himself. I had the privilege today of having brunch with a few of his POWs, friends that he spent time in captivity. And they gave me this little medal, and it says on it 3 little short sentences that describe what McCain is all about. It's integrity first, and then it's service before self, and then it's excellence in all we do. This is the McCain that we know.
Fair enough, but I want to put an email to you that we got from a viewer going by the name of Khalid B. Didn't tell us where it's from, but Khalid wrote in saying, Barack Obama went out of his way to assert that he is not a Muslim. Is this hurtful to the millions of Muslims in America? Is this a new era of race relations in the United States? And what I want to pick up on from that is that whatever John McCain inherits, if he takes over in the White House, he still has to deal with the issue that there are divisions now that need to be fixed.
Correct. The divisions do exist. But we know McCain as a reformer. And your guest earlier spoke about his immigration reform. He's always been open to minorities, open to immigration. And I think with McCain in the White House, we'll be able to fix the divisions that realistically did take place in the past 8 years, and we cannot deny them.
Louise, a lot of people are wondering to what extent has the Republican voter base been affected by what seems to be a reconciliation between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Many people felt that perhaps all the Latino supporters of Hillary Clinton might be able to switch, might be drawn into the Republican camp, considering the divisions that existed. Now those seem to have been reconciled. I wonder what that's done to your voter base there.
Well, I'll stress on the part that it seemed to be reconciled. We don't think it's been reconciled. The people that I've talked to as I run the campaign, who come and join the campaign, who at one point were supporters of Hillary Clinton, tell me that there's still greater divisions. And I think as we go forward in the campaign and we started to realize what Obama really stands for, we become educated. And as we become educated, we make better choices. And that's how we find that a lot of the Democrats, especially the Latinos, are coming to the McCain side. Not specifically because they were Hillary supporters, but because they're learning that they're more McCain supporters. There's more things that are attractive about McCain than there are about Hillary.
And taking a parallel here, David, on this, on the issue of Muslims who felt snubbed by Barack Obama because of him distancing himself from the religion, the term perhaps, and even the issue of him, his staff at least drawing out some of those Muslim women in hijab, in the headscarf, away from his campaigns, visible speeches and so on. How effectively have you been able to corral those perhaps disenchanted or disenfranchised Barack Obama voters from the Muslim side into the Republican camp?
So far, we have done very well with those disenchanted members of the Democratic Party. And I think we're going to do better, especially with the women, with Palin on the ticket. We're going to work hard towards the next 60 days to bring them in. And certainly in Virginia, the Republican Party is open to everybody, especially Muslim Americans and Arab Americans.
Can I squeeze in an email that we got from a regular viewer by the name of S. Anoma in Sydney, Australia, who says, the Bush administration felt that the U.S. should send troops to Pakistan to fight the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Is this an issue in the current presidential campaign? And I wonder what your feeling is on this and how that issue, foreign issue, is going to be held, foreign policy issues.
McCain has always been independent in his decision-making, and he takes foreign intervention case by case. His history shows that he was against some foreign intervention, such as the intervention in Lebanon back during the Reagan years. And even though the foot soldier in the Reagan administration, he stood against the president at the time for intervention in Lebanon by the Marines. So he'll take it case by case. He'll check what's the best interest of America first, and that's the job of President of the United States, best interest of the American Party, and then for what America stands for, which is freedom and democracy around the world.
Well, David Ramadan, Luis Alvarado, thank you very much for joining us.
It's been a
to
pleasure.
speak with you. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Luis.
Thank you, man.
And thank you for being with us. On tomorrow's show, we're joined by the Republican pollster Kellyanne Conway and former Congressman J.C. Watts, the two top strategists who will tell us how their party plans to win the White House. Join us for that with your views. We'll see you then.